The secrets to shafa'ah is the root of the word. It comes from shafa'ah. Shaf' refers to an even number in Arabic. And in Salatul Layl we have the shaf' and the watr. Shaf' the 2 rak'ah prayer, and the watr is a single prayer. Right? Shaf', you call something a pair, like 2, if they're both the same. And if I have 2 books here, and they're both books, I can say that it's a pair of books. Let me give you this pair of books. But if I have a book and a computer, I'm not going to say, let me give you this pair of things. If there's no similarity between the 2 things, then they're not a pair. They're not shafi' to one another. So in order to get the shafa'ah of the Prophet and the Imams, we need to make ourselves resemble them, so we're in the same category as them, that we can then be a pair and they can hold our hand and take us there. If we're nothing like them, if we don't look like them, if we don't act like them, if we don't talk like them, if we're nothing like them, we're not with them. We can't expect them to all of a sudden for them to come in and hold our hand and take us there. They're not a true pair with us then, because we've fallen short of the mark. Right? So we've got to lift ourselves up and be like them as much as we can. And once we've done that, then yes, then they'll grab our hand and take us the rest of the way, inshallah.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad.
The last salam he sends to himself is Yawma ub'athu hayyan, the day when I am raised again. And that's another window. Once the barzakh ends and we're raised from our graves to face the final judgment, right? That's another. We're on the edge of this new world, looking into it, and it's terrifying. Right? The phrases that are used in ahadith are terrifying. There's one dua that we recite. It's called Dua al-Hazin. If you're familiar with it, it's the dua that's recited. It's recommended to be recited after the watr, at the very end of Salatul Layl. The Dua al-Hazin, it's usually quoted in the end of Fatihul Janaz, like very, very end, like the last 15 pages, or 20 pages. One phrase in there is the following. We ask Allah, we say, Irhamni, yawma atika farda. Have mercy on me on the day when I come to you alone, as a fard, as a single person. Shakhasan ilayka basari. I'm kind of almost staring at you, entranced, staring at you. Muqallidan amali, right, with all my deeds as a burden around my neck, almost like a necklace weighing down my neck. وَقَدْ تَبَرَّأَ جَمِيعُ الْخَلْقِ مِنِّي. And all people, all your creatures have cut ties with me. Right, on that day, everyone's worried about themselves. As dear as somebody might be for you here, on the day of judgment, right, during the judgment itself, like from the time we're raised from the grave until judgment itself, everyone's so concerned with themselves, they have there's no possibility for them to even think about somebody else. No matter how dear that person may have been in the world, and no matter how close they may be in Jannah. In Jannah, inshallah, we'll be brought together with our families again if we both qualify for paradise. But on this day, right, all ties are cut. La ansaba yawm. There are no more ties of family and love and these sorts of things. They're all gone. It's just, I'm worried about myself, and that's all I can think of. قَدْ تَبَرَّأَ جَمِيعُ الْخَلْقِ مِنِّي. All creatures have cut ties with me. نعم أبي وأبي وأمي ومن كان له كدي وسعي. Yes, even my father will cut his ties with me. My mother will cut her ties with me. And even those children for whom I spent an entire life, slaving, working to protect them and help them, even they will cut their ties with me on that day, on the day of judgment. فَإِن لَمْ تَرْحَمْنِي فَمَنْ يَرْحَمُنِي. So if you on that day don't have mercy on me, then who's left to have mercy on me? All the people who are my loved ones, and had mercy on me here, they're no longer to be found. Right, so that's another critical moment where we need the salam. Right, we need Allah's mercy to be with us. So those are the 3 critical points that Isa a.s. chooses to pray for peace for himself. He has peace when the day that he opens his eyes into this world, enters the second world, and then finally goes to the hereafter. Sallu ala nabi wa alihi.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
This is the end of this section. This is the second episode in the story of Isa a.s., the birth of Jesus. There are many messages, but there are 2 main messages I want to get out of this. One is the importance of chastity. And chastity was the critical quality of Maryam a.s. that qualified her for all these favors of Allah. And you think how how concerned she was and her family was with her chastity. Make sure that she was all separate from the rest of the priests in the temple. And no one had contact with her. No one touched her. Someone very close, a prophet of Allah, is set over her as a guardian. Right? This is a really critical quality for her, and it was her pride. She took pride in this, that she had this chastity. And when that was threatened by this whole experience, she was so worried. She wished that she was dead, simply because she felt like the one quality she held dear, that she thought it was more dear to her than anything else, she had lost that, at least in people's eyes. People are going to think of her as a terrible woman now. And so that was very, very critical for her. And that's one of the most important qualities for a woman in particular. For men as well, but it's really highly emphasized for women. The general reason is this, that men tend to be, psychologically and also in our hadith we have evidence for this, men tend to want to look, but women tend to want to show. And chastity deals with the willing, the desire to show yourself. Right? And so because women, they're given that desire for a reason. There's a good cause for that, and that cause, if it's in its place, then that's wonderful. It helps to glue a marriage together, for instance. Right? But if it's used, if it's misused out of the context of marriage and halal sort of relationships, then it can bring down a whole society. So chastity for women is really highly emphasized, and then ghadl al-basar, to lower the gaze, is really highly emphasized for men, because that's really a man's biggest weakness is wanting to look all the time. Right? So chastity for men and women especially, in terms of covering themselves, maintaining a decent kind of way of acting with people, is very, very important. A second really important lesson is that God never forsakes His servants. Right? When He commands us to do things, He's constantly giving us obligations. It's wajib to do so many different things. When He tells us to do something, then if we commit ourselves to obeying that, then He's with us till the end. We will not lose. We cannot lose if we do what Allah tells us to do. The prophets and these awliya of Allah, these really special people, they believed this and they lived this, and they saw the results of it. They see miracle after miracle in their lives, right? Because they themselves have committed wholeheartedly to do what Allah tells them to do. That holds true for us too. If He's told us that it's obligatory to do certain things, right? So the hard things in our lives are usually, they have to do with money. Right? They have to do with sacrificing certain comforts and certain things that we might have for the betterment of others, for the betterment of our community. Right? Making sacrifices and helping others. And that's generally one of the big struggles that we have. We don't have jihad anymore, that we have to actually sacrifice our lives. But we should know that if we do it, if you obey Allah, we're never going to lose. If khums seems like a really big hurdle for you, and you feel like, if I do it, then I'm left with nothing. What am I going to do with my kids' college fund? What am I going to do with my house payments? With all these different things, right? If you have khums and it's wajib for you to pay it, do it, and Allah will take care of the rest of it. You may not understand how, you may not see any windows open for you, but they will open. Allah says, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. If you have the taqwa of Allah, and part of having taqwa is doing whatever He tells you to do, and staying away from everything He tells you to stay away from. If you do that, then He'll open doors for you. He'll make a makhraj for you. It seems like a sealed, there are no doors that you can see. He'll open a door where no door exists.